Good morning, guys. Back at Austin Point. It's the Lower Columbia River. The tide's going out, so the current is ripping. I'm gonna go out with Tom. We both have autopilots. Where are they? There they are. One there, one down the beach there. We're gonna be wobbler fishing, which is something I've never been able to do from a kayak because it's incredibly dangerous and stupid to try and anchor in fast current with a kayak with 50, 60 feet or more of line out. That won't be a problem today because we're just going to push a button, throw some big spoons in some migrating Chinook's face, and hopefully get one to bite. So we'll get out there, get rigged, and get fishing. Okay, a lot of fish right here. I think we'll do right here in this slot. That's the nice thing about this, you can just see fish and then just pull up. And what I like to do is I'm going to get in line right here, and I'm just going to press my anchor button. It should hold. I'm just going to run a 5x5 setup, so 5 foot dropper, 5 foot leader.
Do you have to turn everything else off when you hit the anchor button?
No, you should just come up and be able to hit that anchor button. I usually slow down, like I'll just turn off the prop right now, so that where I want to stop, and then it should engage. I see it's engaging. It's trying to bring you back to where you hit that button. There it goes. You're anchored. That's it. This is it. That's a lot easier than dropping a rope, isn't it? Less scary.
I wasn't when I was sure if you had to turn everything off and then hit the anchor.
I just turn it. Sometimes, like in high current, I'll just slow down because if you're like at speed, sometimes it takes the GPS a little time to register where you're at. It's like if you're on top of a school of sturgeon or something, and you really want to be right on top of them. I don't know why they're out here trolling in these lanes. How much lead do you have on? Oh, you don't have any lead yet. Where's spot lock? I think he just thinks we were trolling because we don't have an orange buoy out in front of us. Well, whatever. Yeah, I think I might, in the future, I'd recommend like making like a little sign on the back says, like on the back, you hang on the back of your chair, says, "I'm on anchor." I mean, he was confused. He was like, "Wait, are they trolling?" He's like, and then he goes, "Oh, they're on spot lock." He's like, "I didn't even know they had motors." One thing I've noticed is that it's already apparent to me that the trollers are struggling with this whole concept of autopilots and spot lock with a kayak. Normally they have an indicator when there's a powerboat out here. They look at that orange buoy in front of them. They know they're anchored up and running wobblers. But they can't tell if we're out here just slow trolling or on anchor. So I think that's something I need to figure out how to help powerboaters recognize that I'm on anchor, just as a safety issue, and also to prevent, getting tangled up in gear when they're trolling. Traditionally, I've never seen so many trollers out in the hog lines, but it seems like that's the new thing. I've had 2 or 3 kings go underneath me already, so I mean we're in the spot. It's windy out here today. It wasn't supposed to be.
Okay, so say I get one. Do I unanchor?
Yeah, so just hit your anchor button.
Okay.
Once.
And then I'll start floating backwards, right?
Yep.
Or will it put me in the same thing I was before I put the anchor? Will it?
No, there will be you'll have no motor. So if you need a motor, you'll have to re-hit the prop button to engage the prop and then throttle up down. So just be aware of like what your prop settings are as you're fighting a fish, So like if you, let's say, it's a long way back to the next hog line, so I don't think you have an issue. But, let's say you're starting to get close to them and you don't want that fish to go forward anymore. You have 2 options. One, you can re-engage the prop and throttle up and then use a rudder to steer the fish away from them. Or you can re-engage the spot lock and the motor will stop you where you're at that moment and hold you there. Now, typically when I get kings close to me on the autopilot, I disengage the prop. I don't want the prop to, as the fish goes underneath, I don't want the prop to cut the fish off. It's okay, like I have 40-pound leader, so fish rubs on the prop, I still have a chance, right? But in general, I'm trying to keep those fish away from that moving prop, you know? And we're only using a speed setting between, mine's sort of hovering around like 2.5 to 4. So right now I'm using 4 amps, so 25 hours. I could conceivably do this. And the cool thing is, if you're out here, and like I said, if you're in a spot and you're just not marking many kings coming underneath you, it's like, just reel up, push a button, bump over 10 feet, push the button again, right? These guys have to drive forward, pull the anchor, do all this crap. We don't have to do that at all. So yeah, think about that for spring Chinook, summer Chinook. Because running plugs for summer Chinook and Wobblers is extremely productive. So those fish run deep when the river gets warm. The summers do. But then sturgeon, shad, so many fisheries open up. Yeah, this is cool. I hope we at least get a takedown. I just want to prove the concept, right? I just want proof of concept. And every once in a while, like for me, when I wobbler fished in power boats, what we would do is like, if you didn't get bit, like every 10-15 minutes, just bump it a little bit, like pick up your rod, bump it back a few more feet, just see if you can get in that right lane the fish are moving through. I mean, I'm marking a fish moving by every 10 minutes, like, just sometimes it's just a subtle shift in its location down there can make a big difference. Especially if you're dropping back and all of a sudden you feel it go over a hole, bring it back up to the top, so they come down that hole, they come up off that hole, they'll come right into that wobbler, right in its face. Another thing you can do, you can save your spot lock location and then have it automatically take you back. It's pretty awesome. So that way you're like, oh, I know that's a good spot. Like for sturgeon and stuff, that's great, because like there's a sturgeon hole, you pull a fish out, make sure you save that spot before you leave, and you can always just come right back to it. And you don't have to do nothing. Once you hit go to and then you select one of the points that's available, hit your check mark, you can just go back to rigging your gear, processing your fish, and it'll automatically take you there, stop you, and lock you back in. If that's their 2 fish and they pull anchor, I'm gonna slip out and sink that spot. You could slide right in there. Yeah, they're gonna pull. Do you want to go jump in their spot? Oh! Fish, 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 fish!
You got one?
Yep, just as I picked it up. Oh, he's off. Oh, he's still there. He's still there. Oh, he's off now. Oh, he's still there. He's still there.
It works.
It works. Oh, back to the bottom. Dang. That's awesome. Proof of concept right there. Wobbler fishing for kings. From a kayak. Guys. Check that out. King on a wobbler. First day trying this with the AutoPilot. Nailed a giant. Beautiful upriver fish. Check that out. I'm so stoked. I just used my saved waypoint that I had that I caught that fish at. I'm just gonna let it take me back up there and I can process this fish. It's a big upriver fish. It works. I literally picked up the rod and I was like, that's weird, that feeling, because like I didn't feel the weight of the wobbler. I started to reel, and as soon as I started to reel, it just buried the rod. I'm just bleeding it out right now. It's nice though, because I don't have to worry about it. I got down there and netted the fish, and I just turned around and said go to, hit that spot, and it just turned around and took me right back. Look at that. That is a nice fish. There you go, guys. Simon's Wobbler, chartreuse, silver 50-50. That'll do it. There you go, guys. That's a nice one. All right, just got off the river. It was super windy, so I wanted to talk up here a little bit about anchor fishing. And one of the reasons I've always been hesitant to come out and anchor fish for fall kings using wobblers, obviously it's very effective. I just showed you this is the first time I've ever done it. In the AutoPilot, I was out there less than 2 hours and I got my big fish to take home. But it's challenging. I'm in 40 to 60 foot of water. You have to line up in these hog lines. You can see these boats out here in a perfect line behind me in the Columbia River. You want to get in line with them so you're not in anybody's way, you're not in the trolling lanes. And traditionally, you would need to use a rope to do that. And here's my Columbia River anchor setup. I have my rope here on a spool that I can reel up down to an anchor. And then what I would use is I would use a buoy here, and I would run that anchor line through 2 of these gaps here and create a loop. And then I clip this into this, and then I clip my kayak into this, and that way I can drop off anchor and go back to it. But you really need 2 or 3 times the amount of rope to anchor safely in depth and also get a good grab on the anchor. So if you're in 40 feet of water, you need 120 feet of rope. It's really hard to store that much rope. I've got about 130 feet on that spool. And bringing that up just takes a lot of effort, especially when you're trying to not crash into other boats and watch out for trolling boats and get wrapped in other people's anchor lines, which can be just a few feet away. With the spot lock, all I had to do with my AutoPilot over here was just push a button. I'm holding in place. Once I hooked up with that fish, pushed a button, dropped off anchor, fought the fish and landed it. So I'll put links to the AutoPilot so you can learn more about it. It's just an absolute, I hate to use that word, but it's a game changer for lower Columbia kayak anglers who want to run wobblers or flatfish or quick fish for salmon steelhead in the Columbia River, or even anchoring up for sturgeon on the Willamette. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Just remember, fish smarter, not harder. Bye, guys.